Welcome back. You're still watching Breakfast Central. Time for us to take a look at the front pages of the newspapers that we're going to go to right away, as we'll be tying that in with some of the latest stories that's making the headlines this morning here on the front pages of the papers. Let's start off first with This Nigeria. That'll be our very first paper this morning.
Do you know why we're starting with This Nigeria?
Because today, This Nigeria is worthy of conversation.
I like you a lot. Thank you so much for being very sharp.
Thank you. NLC to push for new minimum wage in 2026.
We are back again.
Union leader Ajero says workers endured a lot of hardship in 2025. NAF eliminates 2,351 terrorists in 274 air interdiction missions in 2025. We will soon reveal agreement reached with Fubara before Tinubu says Wike. No going back on allocation for rivers in 2027. Bear in mind that the FCT minister has presented his own candidate already. He has brought forth his own candidate who will be the governor.
And that's not Fubara. He doesn't want Fubara to.
No, he said, like I told you, he said Fubara is not in the agreement. That Fubara is supposed to end his tenure. As soon as it's done, it's out. But the question is, I want to ask, as a godfather, your people will still have to choose. The River State people are the most powerful people, not but he does wield significant influence. So using that, his status, he could, sway the vote one way or the other. And I guess that's why they are called godfathers. But at the end of the day, you're right. The Rivers people would have to decide. But if the Rivers people choose that,
and I wonder where the president would, because he has to choose a side in this, or maybe he would just unlook and let them decide, since it's not from Rivers State, it's from Lagos State. But let's talk about the NLC push for minimum wage in 2026. Are we headed for a long-drawn battle between the Labour Congress and the government again? Are we looking at strikes? Because the minimum wage, I remember your drawing board edition, you did break down the minimum wage as to what it can do, how much a bag of rice is, a family of 4, and the convincing verdict was that the minimum wage is not even enough to take you home. It's not what you can call a take-home salary. It's more like, that's why it's a wage. It doesn't augur well for most Nigerian workers.
Can you augur well?
They are pushing for more. It's not a livable wage.
Exactly. And now
but since we're going to be we're already making huge amount of money from the removal of fuel subsidy and savings, and we're going to be cashing in a lot with the new tax regime. Do you think that some of those extra earnings will be pushed towards the minimum wage, increasing the minimum wage, because the government can't say they don't have money anymore?
Well, partially, if you recall, that was the partial agreement. That was the partial agreement that they said was made when they had met the president in the villa, that they were not just going to review the minimum wage immediately. They were asking for 600,000, if you remember, and then it came down to about 250 or 300 or so, and Nigerians said, that would be impossible. But now they said, okay, why they agreed to 70,000 naira was because it will be reviewed on a year-to-year basis.
Okay.
So
let's hope they keep their own side of the agreement.
It's 2026 already. When they go back to the villa, let's see what the conversations will look like, because truly 70,000 naira wouldn't do anything. But talking about the monies and the tax reforms, we want to move straight to our
the Daily
guest
Independent, yes. Yeah. On the front page of the Daily Independent, we can see the stories there.
Exactly.
Big story there. Tinubu assures on more robust phase of economic growth. Federal civil service goes fully paperless. Federal government persecuting me for refusing to join APC, Bala Mohammed says. Federal government issues 4 trillion naira bond to offset power sector debts. Abaribe defects from APGA to ADC. Labour to push for new minimum wage in 2026, according to Ajero. Banking sector ownership shake-up looms as recapitalization deadline nears. Peter Obi defects to ADC says journey to rescue Nigeria has begun. And finally, Court rejects bid to halt implementation of tax laws, and Abuja High Court has denied has denied the opportunity and all legal parties standing in the way of Nigeria's new tax regime, saying that the federal government can officially go ahead and proceed. But let's talk about the tax laws. What this means is the first day of January, the tax laws officially kick-started today. Joining us to discuss what the tax laws, the implementation of these tax laws starting from today, the 1st January 2026, is Stanley Onuorah, the online banker. Good morning, Stanley.
Good morning, Stanley. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you. It's good to be here with you guys.
All right.
Thank you so much.
So, Stanley, let's start with, the implementation of this tax law starting from the 1st of January. Today, obviously, there's not going to be any going back on this from the government and even from the court's perspective. What should individuals and businesses know? What changes will this mean to how they do business and how they handle money?
So for a lot of business owners, I think for 80 to 80% of a lot of people that are listening to this, they should understand that the tax bracket that is given for most small businesses, most of them do not fall under that. That's for 80%. So there's 100 million threshold turnover for a lot of for small businesses. And if you look at a lot of businesses in Nigeria, within a year, they don't do 100 million. So for a lot of them within that bracket, they don't need to bother. But for the people that fall within the bracket, from what we have seen in previous years, where a lot of people have not, don't even know that they are supposed to file for taxes ever. Like a lot of business owners, I have come across quite a number of them personally and, on consultation basis and all that. So what they would need to do going forward is that it's no longer business as usual, where you are supposed to charge VAT and remit to the government, and you don't do that, or where you are supposed to file and you're running a very big company, well known, and you do not have like proper bookkeeping. And that's another thing that is going to be very important going into this year, because a lot of people would need bookkeeping. They don't know how to, okay, I've made expenses here, I bought this, but this is how much I spent, these are my records, so that you can show the tax authorities. That is something that is going to be fundamental going forward into the year 2026 for the tax law.
All right. Thank you very much for setting that as the framework for which we'll have this conversation. I want us to talk about some of the common mistakes business owners have made in previous years that will no longer be allowed coming, January 1st is already here. But we're going to break, and when we come back, we'll have this conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still looking at the tax laws that have officially kicked in today, the 1st day of January 2026, and we're joined by Stanley Onuorah, the online banker. Thank you very much for joining us, Stanley. And now let's talk about some of the common mistakes that business owners made before now that should no longer be employed in the new year, in terms of maybe how they prepare invoices or transfers. If you can shed some light on some of the common mistakes that they should avoid in this new dispensation.
So number one, for a lot of business owners, you're supposed to separate your business account from your personal account. That's the starting point, so that you have an account that you can do your bookkeeping on. You know every money that comes in, and it's easier for you to do your reconciliation. That's one. Then number two, for the people that are supposed to pay, like VAT, there are exemptions that there are businesses that are tax exempt, and there are businesses that have zero rated VAT. And for the ones that are zero rated VAT, for some of them that do not know, like healthcare, things like sanitary pads, things like education, pharmaceuticals, once you have zero rated VAT, any VAT you incur in producing any of those goods or services, you can claim it back as an input back to you. So you can use it to offset maybe some other taxes that you have. So that's for zero rated VAT. Then there's others that are tax exempt, like rent, like public transportation. So those ones you don't charge VAT on that. So if you are within these categories, and agricultural products too. So if you are within this category, you don't need to prepare. Your invoice should be different, and you don't need to bother, even if you are above the threshold that is given. For everyone that is below the 100 million threshold, you're exempted from VAT. You're exempted from company income tax and all. Therefore, all that for things like invoices, for a lot of for restaurants, for those big restaurants and all, you're supposed to have VAT at the end so that you know how you're preparing your invoice. And then you're supposed to have registered with the tax authorities so that there is the new fiscalization that is being done, that if for every copy that you have, the government has the similar, so you can't come out and have disparity between what you have and what the government has. So it's a lot of mindset shifts and behavioral change for a lot of small business owners in the way that they are going to be running their business this year. But the most important thing for most small businesses is just to have your records, have your receipts. Please keep your receipt. If there's nothing I can teach anyone, is just to have a record, because there is no other form of having conversation with the tax authorities without a record. So if you buy fuel, for example, and you use your card and there's no place to just show that, just take a screenshot, just take a picture of that and just have a file, maybe an email that you send all those receipts to, that you just keep. Somebody comes to make payments for this, just take a receipt. You are purchasing this, make a receipt so that you can have that as your deductible at the end of, when you're doing your reconciliation. But if you do not have proof for that and you just have those as expenses there's no way to show that these expenses were expenses that you incurred in producing, in generating income, because that's what the law says. So any expense that you incur in generating income, you can deduct. But how do you prove that you use this to generate income? It's by all those proofs, which is receipts and proper bookkeeping.
All right, you've looked at the economy so well in terms of how impactful the new tax reform laws will be. But do you think Nigerians are generally ready for it? And do you think with the entire backstory behind the tax reforms in terms of the gazetted, non-gazetted, do you think we're ready to go? Or would you, if you were in the shoes to give an advice, would you advise the number one citizen to possibly just take a breather, say for a month, and let Nigerians, get prepared fully, or there is no better time to do it? Where do you stand?
Where I do stand is, for number one, there is actually no better time to implement anything. If you're embarking on a project, you do realize that no matter how prepared you are, there will be ups and downs. So there will always be time for more consultation and all. So if the government is saying they are moving ahead, well, the most important thing to me is a social contract that is supposed to exist between the people and the government, and that is why there's a lot of pushback. And even for the gazetted, non-gazetted, I'm not privileged to know. We're not sitting in the House of Reps or Senate and all. We're not privileged to know exactly what was written and then what was gazetted and all. Some of the mistakes that we even saw, for us that are just, people that were able to access the law and to read, you notice that there was 50 million that was said, and the tax authorities that came out later to say it's 100 million. So we do understand that maybe I don't know if they made mistakes and all, but that is beyond my purview. That is beyond you and I's purview. I'm sure the lawyers and the authorities have that. But if we're talking about implementation and what it means to the average man and to the average business owner in Nigeria, and vis-a-vis what the government is supposed to be doing for them, that social contract, if the people do not see the need, what their taxes are going to be used for directly, in terms of saying that there's judicious use of my money, there's issues of your money, because it's coming from my pocket for the people that are paying. And then you're hearing stories of embezzlement from one government or the other, from one government official or the other. Then it feels like all my efforts in trying to be compliant and somebody just takes all that money from. So those are the contracts that needs to be fixed. This tax law has opened a lot of people's eyes to the fact they've been paying these taxes. A lot of these taxes are not new. They have been paying. But what this has done is that it has created an awareness. And the government should understand that it's not going to be business as usual, because the people are now going to feel a sense of responsibility to them, in the sense that this is my taxpayer. That's why when you hear Western countries, when you hear Western countries, you hear a lot of people talk about these are taxpayers' money. Nigerians will start to feel that pulse way forward.
And hopefully we'll feel that. And that brings me to my next question, because you look at countries like Norway, Sweden, Scandinavian countries, and other climes, the people see it as a duty. They're very happy to pay their taxes because they can visibly see the results of their taxes. Towards the end of last year, we did see that there was a huge revenue shortfall from the federal purse, and the government needs this money to carry out infrastructure, capital projects, and also provide healthcare and education. Now that this tax regime is has started, this new tax regime has been enforced, how much percentage of revenue will be accrued to the government, and when do we start seeing a visible difference in the lives of Nigerians?
So it's the law is the revenue sharing, which is another critical thing that Nigerians should take notice of. If you pay your personal income tax, it is going to your state. And if you check the development levy, the 4%, you see that it is shared between, education trust fund and all that. Then if you check the company income tax, and the way that it is shared, you see all how the money is shared along the states, the federal, even VAT, how it's shared along the states and the federal government. The states are going to be empowered. I think this should be stressed well enough. The states are going to be receiving a lot more funds as opposed to before. What are they going to be doing with that money for the people is a question that is a lot of people are not asking. A lot of people are channeling their energy towards the federal government. I feel that this energy should be held. We should hold our state governors we should hold them, because they are going to be receiving a bulk of this money if you look at how the breakdown comes down. So what the state should be doing will be very, very important going forward. And when we talk about education, when we talk about like the capital expenditure and all, yes, the government does actually need this money. Personally, I feel like that's why no matter what is being said, it's now a case of the government, you can see the deficit in the 2026 budget, the estimation. How are they going to even raise revenues without increasing the tax bracket? Every country is funded a lot by their taxpayers. But just like you mentioned, over in the West, where people feel compelled, they're happy to just go pay their taxes. If that social contract is restored a bit, because Nigerians are very easy to please. If they start to see that critical infrastructure is being put in place, and that the monies that they feel they are paying is now coming into good use, and you are seeing proper development, I'm sure that a lot of people will even be happier coming to contribute. So that social contract has to be there, it has to be restored between the government and the people. And then secondly, we should look at the state and where these monies that they're going to be collecting are going to be used for. Should not be business as usual. We should hold them accountable.
Now, Stanley, I'm glad you mentioned the social contract, which is a very important dimension to this tax regime. We've seen the government and also the tax czar, Mr. Oloyede, has been very active on Twitter. They've been putting out explainer videos, but some of these things sound really technical. How can the government get the buy-in of ordinary Nigerians and also ensure compliance in a way that 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 shows that they understand the real meaning of the social contract and that they're doing this for the greater good of Nigerians.
That is why stations like yours exist. The government is supposed to invest massively in education, because we are dealing with a country of over 200 million people. Our literacy level isn't really high within the country. So you have to find avenues to break down this information to the smallest man on the street. That is one. Then secondly, when we talk about, the information that is being passed and that the social contract, how the people on the streets are understanding, this tax law, they need to make it very clear to the market woman on the streets that you are exempted from paying this tax. There is a lot of agitation from small business, especially petty traders. The government is coming to tax me. The government is coming to tax me. The government is coming to tax me. It means that whatever they are doing, as much as information being passed, they are not hitting those people on the streets. Whether it's through social media, it came out with a list of creators on the space that they say they wanted to train. I don't think that is enough. They have to go further to find ways of localizing this. Use the market unions, use the because I think those are some of the people that reach the very base. Use the market unions, use them to pass out this information that a lot of you that are worried about this are not even going to be paying any form of tax. You are even exempted. The tax law now brings an exemption to you. But if that is not being done, people will keep feeling agitated. And I fear that there will be on a price increase in certain sectors that are not supposed to be, because people will generally feel like, oh, there's tax that is coming. And I hear that a lot from small business owners, and I try to correct them. Say, oh, there's this tax that is coming, so I'm going to increase this money so that I can pay tax. That is not how it works. But that information dissemination from their own end has to be more thorough.
Thank you so much, Stanley Onuorah, for speaking with us, especially as the tax reforms gets in action. Nigerians are still wondering what it means. I mean, the cross-section still really don't understand. I guess it's a lot of work for the orientation, Nigeria orientation agency to help sensitize the public. And thanks for doing your best as well.
Yes, and thanks for talking to us on the first day of the year. Yeah. We appreciate your sacrifice.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for having me. Right. Happy New Year.
Great. Let's go back to the papers. We're looking at the Daily Independent earlier on, and there are some stories I want to take a look at there on the Daily Independent right there on the front page. Peter Obi defects to ADC, says journey to rescue Nigeria has begun. The question now is, who will rescue Nigeria from the ADC? Because you do have a lot of political bigwigs in one party. You have former governors, you have Rotimi Amici, you have Peter Obi himself, you also have a former vice president in the name of Atiku Abubakar, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. You do have a former Senate president, just so many of them. Time will fail us if we go through the list, but again, we've had reps from the party stating clearly that worry not about the names, just worry about what you're going through now. That's what they say, because their job, they see themselves as the Messiah, and they're looking forward to redeem, as it were, what they say, redeem Nigerians from that. Tinubu assures a more robust phase of economic growth, vows to continue with global partners to eliminate insecurity, plans to empower 1,000 people in each of the 8,806 wards, asks citizens to stand together in unity, uphold patriotism, and that's what he says. By the way, if you're watching us, if you want to call in, be our first caller for today and for the year, please feel free. We try and put a number on the screen for you so you can dial in. Let's see who our first caller for 2026
we'd like to hear from you.
Will be while we wait for that call to come in. Let's quickly check our final paper today. I don't know if we do have another paper, but
before then, I want us to see our story on the front page of the Daily Independent. Federal government persecuting me for refusing to join APC, Bala Mohammed says.
I mean, is it a legitimate cry, and or what do we make of this? Is it
all of a sudden, because of the FCC
yes,
has then said that he...
But he has immunity, but they seem to be, in his words, harassing his Commissioner of Finance.
Commissioner of Finance said it has been picked up by the EFCC.
Terrorism financing. This is a very serious issue.
Said its Commissioner of Finance has been picked up for financing terrorism. He also mentions that he said, "I have kept quiet too long. I am not a coward." That's what Governor Bala Mohammed says. The federal government should look at its tax system. He also highlights why the tax system should be stopped. I think one of the points here is that because he has failed to join the APC, that's what he says. Does aligning with the center mean that you'd be free from any form of
what
corruption?
I can tell you from what I witnessed yesterday in Lokoja at the end of the year party with the White Lion, who's a member of the APC. I'm talking about the former governor of Kogi State, Mr. Yaya Bello. You should have seen the way he was dancing. There was also Odumodu Black there.
Wow.
The way he was dancing, you wouldn't think there's the albatross of a 80 billion naira fraud case or a graft case on his neck. He seemed very free, and that's where the principle of deodorization and insecticization comes in. Right now, it's a tale of two governors, one ex-governor, a current governor. One is feeling the impact of the EFCC's insecticization, the person of Bala Mohammed. And then we're also witnessing one that is dancing with reckless abandon. You would think he has no case to answer, no single problem in this world. He's also said he's interested in the Kogi Central senatorial seat. So that's a classic example of the deodorization, political deodorization we've been talking about. But he did show some really nice steps. He's a young and vibrant governor. On the side, yes, he was really vibing to Odumodu Black. Olive, do you like Odumodu Black?
So that please don't set me.
Oh, Odumodu Green.
This is the first day of the new year.
Let's check another story quickly. Federal Civil Service goes fully paperless.
That's good.
Federal Civil Service goes fully paperless.
Can they enforce it? And that is also taking food away from a lot of people. But it's, I mean, it's in line with global best practices.
With change comes responsibility.
Exactly.
So,
look at New Central. We've gone fully paperless for quite some time now.
Yeah.
And, I mean, change is never easy, but you have to get used to it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it means if you go to any civil service, any of the offices or departments, you don't need to write your name here and bring this. Those days there was docket and all of that. They go check for your file, and when they find your file, they'll try to find your name, check your number. Now it's computerized, we hope, and all they need to do is just impute your name.
And it reduces human-to-human interactions. That's where corruption comes in. That's when they say happy weekend, find something for us.
No, with this one, there will still be happy weekend though.
Yeah, because you might need to collect documents.
You have to print out, or they send via email. There's no way happy weekend will not work.
Happy weekend will come because they will say server is down, and for server to come up.
How did you know?
You need something to oil it.
They say, server is down. No.
But that was in 2025. I believe 2026 is it's a new year.
I believe I can fly.
And I believe everyone will change their attitude.
If you were told, if we're told to list the 5 things we wouldn't want to hear or see from those in service, what would they be?
Number 1 for me, 2026, because yesterday's sun. Have you witnessed the weather in the last few days?
Extremely hot.
Extremely hot.
No, I'm talking about
and then
service.
the Nigerian police, yes, they are Nigerian police.
Okay.
They are also part
that's
of
number
service.
1.
They are rendering the
Okay.
service.
Yeah.
They
Happy
should
customer.
never bring up that tin permit issue. The country is hot. If you want to stop somebody, your tint permit, the tint on your car is not immunity from search.
Yeah.
They need to understand that. You will still pull over and they can search and verify the identity of who's driving. But the sun is crazy. Global warming is real. Even with your AC, sometimes
it's not working.
You still sweat because of the intensity of the sun. So tints are not decorated. Tints are there for a reason.
1, 2. By the way, tint permit starts tomorrow. January
don't remind
2nd.
them now.
So we're going to find out if it's going to really start. But the court, there's an ex parte order.
We obey the courts.
Yeah, let's see.
We're not a lawless country.
But let's see if they will obey the court order.
They will obey.
That's what matters.
Yes.
Okay, that's 1. 2 things we don't want to see. 2026.
Well, defection is a part of it.
It will happen.
No, defection will happen. There's nothing we can do about it.
There's nothing that we can say about it.
We'll get to see a lot of that.
So talking about things we don't want to see from politicians or generally
Potholes.
as Nigerians.
From those in service.
Can I say that in 2026, we are asking for our national grid to stop collapsing? Whatever we need to give the national grid, if we need to give it glucose for it to be strong and stop collapsing, let's do it. Because every other day, this 2025, national grid collapses again. Shock us. Let the Minister of Power shock us.
The question
and let the
is,
national grid not collapse. Let, they need to do whatever needs to be done to ensure that we have power.
Olive.
Tell me.
Well said. That's number 2. But where is the Minister of Power?
The Minister of Power, last time I heard, it was in an argument with a prophet that wanted to buy 10,000 trumpets. I don't know if he wanted to blow for rapture because of his political ambition. And some people have said, he can step aside because he seems to be more interested in the governorship position of your state than in power. And you can't serve two masters.
Number 3 thing I think one would not want to see in 2026 is...
Mine is potholes.
Potholes.
For Lagos State, for example.
I think that's...
We're not even talking of hinterland or outskirts, satellite communities.
Have you seen the videos of Morocco?
We're talking of major roads. Do you know how much I spent on repairs in the last year?
It's too much.
I mean, now I'm regretting my choice of car because I drive a low rider, a V8 engine, and it's not suitable for this sort of places. I wish I was in Monaco or Miami driving through the sunset.
Have you seen the streets of Morocco?
It's not too late.
Morocco.
But another thing I wouldn't want to see is non-functioning traffic lights. The traffic lights are put for a reason to help with the regulation of traffic. And, basically, we don't want to keep seeing last mile people doing what the traffic lights should have been doing. Sometimes, for those of us who live very early, here in Lagos, for example, there are people who live as early as 5 a.m. At certain points you need to cross, you will pray before you cross because there's no traffic light working. There's no official at that time of the day because it's too early, and it's a potential accident hazard waiting to happen. If there were traffic lights, there will be less accidents. And I say this because people will not need to put on their full lights. When you're driving at night, somebody coming from the opposite direction is blinding you. Yeah. People won't need to put on their full lights. The roads will look lit. And we don't have to use, we can just get into solar. The world is keeping up with modern best practices, and in doing that, they're employing sustainable options, right? But let's take our first caller all the way from Delta State, Warri to be precise. Onos Alpha. Good morning and thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Good morning.
Thanks for being our first caller for 2026.
And please turn down the volume of your TV set so we can have a productive conversation.
Okay. Good morning.
Unfortunately, Onos, this call is not
Onos, because of the quality of the call, we are afraid we can't take you. You need to turn off your TV when you call us. Thank you.
Okay, we're actually almost at the end of the show.
Yeah, at the tail end. You mentioned 4. I think number 5, I think one thing we wouldn't like to see is lack of transparency, especially now that we're going into the tax reform laws. It's very key. My advice to the government, or better still, would be let's have a weekly, if it's too much, a monthly, if it's too much, a quarterly
bi-monthly too.
A report that's published on the front pages or in the dailies, carrying Nigerians along, letting them know that the federal government and the state government should be able to publish these things, especially when you pay your personal income tax. The state government should be able to mention that this was realized for this quarter, this is what it was used for, and this is, and so on and so forth. I always say that a system that works for the benefit of the people continues to build trust, but a system that works to the not to the benefit of the people continues to erode trust, and that's where we are right now currently. That's why it's hard for people to really accept the new tax reform laws. People are still saying, is it my money they're going to use to drive a convoy, and then the roads are bad, and so on and so forth. And one last thing I wish we wouldn't see in 2026, help the street urchins off the streets. if there's a way they can take the street urchins off the streets, aka the area boys, I think that would do a great deal, trust me, for 2026. If they can take them off the streets.
Find them productive activities.
And there are many ideas,
engage them.
Binga, the country is lacking in facilities and factories. Build factories, get them employed, let them work in these factories. We are blessed with rubber, we're blessed with all of the natural resources. Let's make something out of it. Let's become an exporting nation. These guys are the first core, they're the first people, first point of call, the point of call you'd see, the first responders that I think you should put in front. Get them employed. If they can get stable income, they can also get low income housing. It could be a room self-contained that can be built within that same space. Let them have that. And you see, once they start living, like, because what they're doing now, they're not living. Trust me. But then again, election season is here, Binga. 2026.
Sir,
I think that last point you just raised.
Men. I mean, it's shocking. You know, the other day, just before we wrap up, there was a video of Burna Boy exiting the club with the retinue of supercars and the convoy, and the person that posted it on Twitter said, wow, this thing bust my head. I look at this, he's making a grand departure and things like that. I was excited about the number of
cars,
expensive cars on the convoy. And somebody now retweeted and said, what should baffle you or what should be shocking you is the able-bodied men running after these cars.
Yeah.
Thousands of them early in the morning. I mean, we really do have a problem in our hands. But hopefully we'll do something about it.
Thank you so much for starting the first edition of Breakfast Central for 2026 with us. Don't forget to be back again for the second edition tomorrow. Oh my goodness, it feels like today was Friday.
I know.
My name is Joe Hansen.
My name is Olive Emodi.
And my name is Benga Aborowa.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
See you guys
Happy
tomorrow.
New Year once again.
Bye.
Bye.